Good evening and welcome to this special council meeting. I would like to advise you that this meeting is being live streamed, audio and video recorded, and shall form part of the record, which will be retained in accordance with the town's retention bylaw. And for more information about this collection, you can contact our clerk's office. I just want to say we weren't aiming for mood lighting tonight. We've had a bit of issues with our lighting today, so I apologize if the lighting's a bit low. I'll now ask Councillor Drodge, who will provide us with our land acknowledgement.
Thanks, Your Worship. The town of Innisfil acknowledges that the town of Innisfil is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledges that this land is the traditional territories of the First Peoples of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe peoples of Beausoleil First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture, and committed to moving forward in spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit.
Thank you, Councillor Drodge. Could I please have a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda that was circulated? Moved by Councillor Ices, seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That's carried. Tonight we have two planning applications that are being brought forward for information and public consultation purposes only, with no decisions being made this evening. If a person or public body who files an appeal of a decision of the town of Innisfil in respect of a Planning Act application and does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions to the town of Innisfil before the proposed amendments are passed, the Ontario Land Tribunal may dismiss all or part of the appeal. All comments or questions should be addressed through the chair, and oral submissions will be included in this meeting's minutes and form part of the public record, including the name and address of the speaker, as information collected under the Planning Act in accordance with the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. The minutes of the meeting will be posted on the town's website. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest from members of council this evening? Any conflict or disclosures? Seeing none. Tonight's first application concerns a proposed zoning bylaw amendment application for 3153 20th Side Road in the town of Innisfil. We will start by hearing from town staff and the consultant on behalf of the applicant concerning the application. We'll then have an opportunity for the public to make oral submission in person or virtually for those of you who are watching online. All speakers will have 5 minutes to ask their questions or express their concerns and make comments, and staff will respond where possible. If staff are not able to respond to your questions tonight, they will be addressed in the staff report that will come in the future. Now, after everyone's had a turn with their 5 minutes, if you need to speak again to address another issue raised or to request clarification, you'll be given additional time after everyone has had one turn. After hearing from members of the public, council will have an opportunity to ask any questions and provide comments. Should any member of the public watching us on live stream wish to comment, they can email clerk services, and these comments will be provided to council and town staff and taken into consideration before council makes a final decision. And the address for clerk services will be on the screen during the meeting. You may also be added to the circulation list as an interested party and will be updated on any future information regarding this item. We'll now hear from Town Clerk Jennifer Marshall about how public notice for this meeting was provided.
Thank you, Your Worship. Notice for this public meeting was provided to required agencies on March 25th, 2026, and circulated to all landowners within 120 meters of the subject lands in accordance with the Planning Act. Corresponding signage was posted on the property on March 26, 2026. Information and materials respecting the application were also posted on the town's Get Involved page.
Thank you, Clerk Marshall. Has any correspondence been received by Clerk Services concerning the proposed application?
No correspondence has been received concerning this proposed application. Members of the public may provide comments or register their interest regarding this item during this meeting or up until council makes a decision by contacting the clerk's office at clerksoffice@innisfil.ca.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Tumaj Hegshanis, Development Planner for the Town of Innisfil, and Jonathan Pock, Senior Planner, Morgan Planning and Development Incorporated, who will provide a summary of the planning context of the application. Mr. Pock will be joining us virtually. Tumaj, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council, staff, and members of the public. The purpose of this public meeting is to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment for lands municipally known as 3153 20th Side Road. Next slide, please. The purpose of the application is to recognize and permit the existing landscaping business occupying the front portion of the property and outdoor storage occupying the rear of the property. The landscaping supply yard will occupy roughly 2,851 square meters. The outdoor storage area for recreational vehicle parking will occupy roughly 3,057 square meters. The landscape supply business includes retail space, an administration office, and a garage with parking. The subject lands do not have municipal servicing and will continue to use private sewer and water services. The subject lands are accessed by a private driveway onto the 20th Side Road. Next slide, please. The zoning bylaw amendment proposes to establish site-specific zone provisions to address the existing use and structures. The amendment would establish a site-specific use for the existing business. Next slide, please. The subject lands are located off the 20th Side Road between Lockhart Road and Mapleview Drive, outside any settlement area. The property is adjacent to the City of Barrie municipal border to the west. The City of Barrie has the lands to the west of the 20th Side Road designated as a future residential area. The surrounding lands to the north, east, and south are agricultural in nature. There are environmentally protected lands further to the east and woodlands and wetlands to the south of the property. The subject lands are approximately 10 acres in area with a 145-meter frontage off the 20th Side Road. Next slide, please. The application before us will be reviewed by staff for consistency and conformity with provincial, county, and town policies. Staff have highlighted the applicable planning policies, and that will be reviewed in detail in a future technical recommendation report to council. These policies include the provincial planning statement, the Lake Simcoe Protection Plan, the County of Simcoe official plan, the Town of Innisfil official plan, and the Town of Innisfil zoning bylaw. Next slide, please. There were no staff, agency, or public comments received at the time of writing of the staff report. There were also no public comments received. All comments received will be taken into account in a future recommendation report. Next slide, please. In terms of next steps, staff will review and consider all comments received and report back to council at a future meeting. Notice will be provided to everyone who requested notification or submitted written correspondence. This includes all correspondence received through the town's Get Involved webpage online. Next slide, please. And that's the end of the staff portion of the presentation. My contact information is on the slide, And there's also a QR code to access our Get Involved page for anyone who wishes to provide comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomasz. Now we'll go to Mr. Pock virtually.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you to staff for that detailed presentation. My name is Jonathan Pock. I'm a senior planner at Morgan Planning and Development here on behalf of our client, Mr. Rubino, owner and operator of PT Landscaping as well as Apex Aggregates. Here, with respect to file number D114, 2022-017. Next slide, please. As staff mentioned, the subject lands are located on the east side of 20th Side Road with an approximate lot area of just over 4 hectares and a lot frontage of approximately 146 meters onto 20th Side Road. The subject property is currently developed with a single detached dwelling in the southwest corner, which I'll show on an aerial image in the following slides, as well as accessory structures, a gravel parking area, and a laneway. The existing use of the property serves as both rural residential as well as the commercial landscaping business to the rear of, and at the rear of the property is a recreational vehicle outdoor storage area. Next slide, please. As staff alluded to, this location of the subject property is between Mapleview Drive and Lockhart Road on the west side of 20th Side Road, with the City of Barrie settlement area immediately adjacent to the west. Next slide, please. This is an aerial image of the subject lands. Just would like to draw your attention to a few key components that are on site. As mentioned, in the southwest corner of the site, it's kind of hidden in the treed area on site, but there is a detached dwelling there with private well and septic, and a small garden suite located to the east or south of the pond. And then the balance of the lands are used commercially as part of a landscape supply yard, which you can see some of the bin areas to the northern property line as well as to the right of the existing pond on site. Those areas are used for the storage of mulch and topsoil and other landscape supply items. And the office and detached garage that are affiliated with that use are located in the northwest corner. And the balance of the lands to the rear of the property, you can see there's just some outdoor storage of vehicles and trailers and what have you. There's no sales or rentals that are associated with that use. Next slide, please. As staff mentioned, the purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject lands to a site-specific agricultural zone. And that site-specific zoning would recognize this landscape supply yard and recreational vehicle storage areas. As I mentioned, the front of the property is currently used as that landscape supply yard and soils wholesale use. It's known as PT Landscaping or Apex Aggregate Landscape Landscape Supplies. And the rear of the property, as mentioned, is currently used as RV storage, such as boats and RVs and trailers, etc. Next slide, please. Just a couple of items related to the landscape supply yard component. As staff mentioned, it's to occupy a portion of that land, not the entirety of the property. It's supported by an office, administrative office, as well as some retail space contained within the existing detached garage, and the storage areas on site for those specific landscape supply materials. There's no vegetation proposed to be removed on site. In fact, there's actually additional buffer areas that are proposed, which I'll highlight in the proposed site plan. Next slide, please. With respect to the outdoor storage use, it's limited to the parking of recreational vehicles on a portion of the property to the rear of the landscape supply yard, and there are no sales, rentals, occurring on site, and it's only for that temporary storage. Next slide, please. This is just a copy of the proposed site plan included in our application submission. From a high level, the landscape supply yard is highlighted in the light brown areas, with the outdoor recreational vehicle storage areas contained in the yellow areas. The green areas on site are proposed woodland buffer areas. The drip line of the woodland has been established with the LSRCA and is identified in red. And to help mitigate some stormwater management and to meet the criteria contained in the town's official plan, there is a stormwater management facility shown in blue at the rear of the property, and that would be feeded by swales along the outdoor or along the outside of the subject lands. And the gray areas on site are the existing office and shop, as well as the dwelling and the garden suite on site. Next slide, please. This is just a zoomed in image just to give you a better clarity of those landscape supply yard areas, as well as the RV storage buffer areas and stormwater management areas. Next slide, please. The subject property, as mentioned, is zoned entirely as agricultural, and within the town of Innisfil official plan is within the rural areas and does contain an area identified as a key natural heritage feature, which is that woodland feature on the south extent of the property. Again, there is a buffer area proposed to offset that feature. Next slide, please. Included in our application was a full planning justification report evaluating the applicable planning policies. And we have, it's our opinion that the application is in conformity and is consistent with those documents. Next slide, please. In terms of supporting studies that were included in our application submission, there was a natural heritage evaluation, a site servicing stormwater management report, a salt management plan, a traffic impact brief, an archaeological impact assessment, and a planning justification report. Next slide, please. Just would like to highlight a few key findings from each report. From the natural heritage evaluation, there were mitigation measures which were identified as part of that report. Most of them relate to if there's any future development that, although there's no tree removal proposed, there is specific mitigation measures related to that, as well as more operational things such as having materials stored away from the buffer areas and establishing that buffer area, and also protecting the buffer area through fencing. Next slide, please. From a site servicing and stormwater management perspective, this report concluded that it can be achieved on site subject to the installation of that stormwater management pond at the rear of the property. And the site servicing, there is none proposed. There is an existing septic and wells on site that service the existing development. Next slide, please. From a salt management plan perspective, this was a component or a study that was required by the LSRCA as well as the town, and it to outline best management practices to minimize environmental impacts that are associated with salt application on site. Next slide, please. From a traffic impact perspective, we did retain an engineer to complete this report. The key findings of that report were the existing business will not cause any operational issues. There's no anticipated significant delay or congestion on the local road network, as well as the sightline analysis concluded that it's adequate for this type of use on the property. Next slide, please. Just in summary, again, the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to recognize the landscape supply yard use as well as the RV storage uses on site. As included in our planning justification report, there's details about how this type of use supports the rural economy, provides much needed service for the local residents, as well as surrounding land uses, and obviously employment within the town. The application's been supported by a number of technical studies and has been summarized in our planning justification report. and any technical recommendations that are identified in those reports would be implemented through a future site plan control application once, or should the zoning be approved. That concludes my presentation. I know the owner is also in attendance. If there are any specific questions about the use, they'd be happy to answer them as well as myself. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now hear from members of the public who have questions or comments regarding this matter. I'll first call on those in attendance here at Town Hall who wish to provide comments to come forward to the podium, and please state your name and address for the record. It's my understanding that we've had no one register to speak virtually on this item. As a reminder, each person will have an initial 5 minutes and then may return to the podium after everyone has had a chance to speak for the first round. Is there anyone who would like to ask questions or make comment on this application? And I'll ask one more time, is there anyone who would like to make comments or questions on this item at 315 320th Side Road? Hearing or seeing none, I'll now ask the clerk's office if any emails have been received during this meeting.
Thank you, Your Worship. No emails have been received regarding this application.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now ask council if they have any questions or comments. Councillors Ices.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a few comments on this application, and I hope they don't sound contradictory. I would start off by saying we need places for rural businesses to operate in the town and to thrive, and we also need agricultural land for obvious reasons. So a couple questions about the part I get confused about is the zoning around this property. It was zoned agricultural general, but it's also rural. So rural does allow this type of business on this property. So just maybe help me understand, because as a farmer, usually when we think about agricultural land, it's only able to be used for agriculture. So I'll start there.
Tumaj, did you want to take that one?
Through you, Your Worship. So the rural designation is the official plan designation, so that won't be changing. It's in place and it does permit the current use. The zoning, which is agricultural, does not permit the current use, so that's why they're applying for a site-specific exemption to address the use, basically, to permit what's existing.
Thank you for that. The other place I'd like to look online is the Simcoe Map website, where you can go back and you really can't hide anything anymore with satellites and whatnot. So on this property, if you go back to the map at 2013, so it shows it as a farm field, and the next year is 2016, and then you can see the owner has started his landscape business. There's some dirt and different things dumped there. So he's been operating as in this way for probably 10 years. I'm just curious what would initiate him to have to go through this process now, 10 years after he's been operating there.
Manager Carrera, did you want to take that one?
Through you, Mayor Dolan. So it did come to the town's attention early on during COVID, 2020, 2021, at which point we reached out to the landowner and advised them that there is a zoning infraction. And so at that point, they started a pre-consultation process and an application process, which was initially deemed incomplete. They've since retained the team in the planner you heard from today with their complete set of studies and have made a complete application. So it was the town reaching out to the applicant, is my understanding of how the file started.
Okay. I understand that. But there was a sizable amount of time where he was just, doing his business, and now he had to come up to what's required under the official plan, and I understand that. I guess my problem is we see this often where, these 50-acre pieces of farmland are valuable because people can have a business there, and it doesn't meet the town's official plan. So I definitely support places for rural businesses to go, but I find these things happen often. I'm not trying to point out the applicant here because he's just trying to make a living. But is there a way the town can highlight or in the official plan kind of dedicate areas that would make for maybe better planning around these types of rural establishments that we wouldn't have to go backwards when somebody buys a piece, that they know right up front that, hey, this is something I want to do, and these are the steps I need to do to get to this point, instead of being in this position where, he's operated, probably didn't even know that there was a problem for many years, and now and as we talk about, stormwater management and stuff like that, we're really going backwards. If I'm happy the site meets the plan for that kind of thing, but it might not have, and it could have been way more costly for the applicant to get to this point. So just maybe a comment on the official plan, and where would these rural type businesses look to go in the town?
I saw, Mr. Pock, you had your hand up before. Did you have something to add? And then I'll go to staff.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I just wanted to, and maybe our client can speak to this a little bit more, but I just wanted to clarify that. So the aerial imagery that you saw on site, you're correct. It was at one point in time some sort of agricultural field. In between, I guess 2013 or 2018 or something like that. The disturbances on site, and I don't want to rehash kind of like history, it's kind of water under the bridge, but the previous property owner disturbed that site and had some, somewhat dirt bike tracks or what have you on site. And what our client did was basically smooth that out on site and kind of regraded it on site, and obviously established it to this use during the pandemic. But I don't think they've been operating that long, and maybe John can clarify that historical events if required. But regardless, the site is designated rural, as you mentioned, in the town's official plan. It does actually specifically state that landscape type businesses can be located in the rural area of this designation of the town. If it was in an agricultural designation, it would be, classified as prime agricultural land and would be protected under the PPS and other documents available on site. So just thought I'd clarify that, but if there is anything further that needs to be added, perhaps John could do that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carrera, anything to add, or?
Through you, Mayor Dolan, to Councillor Isis, and Jonathan did speak to a little bit. So in the official plan, the agricultural designation does not permit these as of right. They would need an official plan amendment if the lands were designated agricultural. But the rural designation, which is applied to these lands, is a little bit more generous in permitted uses from an official plan perspective. The as-of-right zoning for an agricultural zone only permits what's permitted in the agricultural land use designation. And so any type of business outside of a settlement in an agricultural zone would likely require a site-specific exception as being requested today. So the comment around, could the official plan guide where these types of businesses is located and where they could not? At this point, at least, that's something staff could take back further. It's based on whether it's designated agriculture or whether it has a rural designation, which is a little bit more flexible.
Thank you for that. And my comments are more to staff on the higher level. I don't have any problem with the application that's before us. It's just, the agriculture community is a little sensitive right now with the province this week announcing those huge developments for housing around Beaton and Alliston. We also look at the NORAD radar site in Clearview. You add those lands, highly productive agricultural lands. Simcoe County probably lost 10,000 acres of farmland in just the last few months, so or is going to, and so just to comment on how as a town we can better plan for keeping the agriculture that we do need, and also having places for our rural businesses to go. So.
Thank you, Councillor Ices. Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Worship. On the description from both the town and the applicant, they talked about the natural area, the unevaluated wetland, and that they're building a buffer around it. What protections are there going forward for those lands? What stops the applicant from just taking those down at some point in time?
Through your worship to Councillor Waters, there's two things. One is site plan control. So the site is subject to a site plan control agreement. The other thing, and we're going to be discussing this with the applicant later, is our preference, our strong preference in this case, which is similar to the rezoning that's also before you this evening, is to zone that area as an environmental protection zone. It's not currently shown that way in the staff report because that's how the bylaw was submitted, but that is typically what we do.
Thank you. My second question is, we identified and talked about the key natural heritage feature. You also mentioned a key hydrological feature, but nothing in terms of if there's any protection required. So a bit of detail on what the key hydrological feature is, and is there any protections built into this application for that feature?
Manager Correa.
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Isis. So the benefit of it being outside of the settlement is the LSRCA can do a complete review. And so we're still waiting on some of those detailed comments. So it's something we could address in the technical report.
The nice thing about Simcoe Interactive Maps, it tells you what it is. And it's a significant recharge area. So my question is, what does a town do when an applicant or anyone wants to build over top of a significant recharge area?
That will be addressed in the report coming forward, will it not? Yeah, okay. We'll make sure you get your answer to that, Councillor Waters.
Thank you. And just one last question right off the environmental side, is that when a landowner significantly changes the use of a piece of property like they have in this property here, and we don't hear about it till it's too late, is this property zoned as commercial, and have they been paying commercial taxes on that property? And is there a question around, does the applicant owe us any money in terms of back taxes? Because usually commercial taxes are a lot higher than residential taxes.
I'm not sure if it's fair that we ask the planner a financial question, but we'll try. We'll go for it, Manager Correa. And if not, we'll get your answer in the staff report.
Through Mayor Dolan, I would need to confer with our finance department to answer that thoroughly.
Thank you. And I guess one question pertaining to that is that if the applicant had originally come to us about changing the zoning from agriculture to what he wants to use it as now, we may have had some prescriptive things for him to do ahead of time, but now that the property's been completely changed, how do we prevent that from happening in terms of people just saying, ignoring the law or just being ignorant of the law and then just going ahead and doing what they're doing, and by the time we see it, it's too late?
Manager Correa.
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Waters. So anytime across the town where we come to be aware of any legal use, we work with our enforcement department, and they'll consider their options, including any orders to comply or anything of that nature. Ultimately, to legalize the site, or whether they requested it without starting the business, there's a full range of complete application, studies and plans required. as outlined on page 2 of the public meeting report, and it was described in the presentation. So the submission requirements, whether they're legalizing it or asking for it, would be just as rigorous. It's difficult to proactively go out and find those issues, but as soon as the town becomes aware of it, we confirm whether there's a zoning infraction and then take the appropriate steps from there.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments on this application? Sorry, Councillor Drodge, sorry about that.
Thanks, Your Worship. It's more of a comment. I'll be upfront too. I do support rural business. I think it's needed in Innisfil. I struggle because you have operated a business for over 10 years, and I know of many applications that have come across council where if they had the opportunity to generate income for 10 years to start a business and then get the application in place and have that money put aside, I think they would have moved forward with that application. I believe there's businesses, rural businesses out there that are trying to get off their feet and be legal, and they see how much it costs to do that, and then they proceed not to do it because of the costs that would be incurred. To have such a long time to basically make money off this property to make it legit, that's where I struggle with it. So, and we've done it. Like I'm trying to think of things that have came across council on AG land, and one was Rustic Silo. That gentleman opened up a business, bylaw caught it, and we shut it down. At what point do we decide which businesses are allowed to operate for 10 years, and then we make them legal, and which ones do we just shut down? It's just a comment. Something we should think about. I don't want people to start popping up businesses wherever they like, and then asking for forgiveness later. I do support this business. If this business did come through legal channels, I think it's in a good location. I think it's needed. Like I said, my problem simply is that it operated for so long before it became legal. And that's just my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank anybody comments from council. Are you John, the owner? Yeah, did you want to speak? You have to come up to the mic. I know we've already, if I need council's concurrence to allow this, because you had the opportunity when I asked the public if they wanted to speak and nobody wanted to, but with council's concurrence, we'll waive the procedure. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sorry, thank you for your time. I just wanted to correct the statement. I haven't been on that site for 10 years or running a business for 10 years. I bought that property in 2020 in the process of COVID. Everything was shut down. We bought that property to try to run a business. COVID didn't help. So it's only been 5 years. It's actually started in 2021, so 5 years now. But I didn't have time to save my money and then do it appropriately. And I believe within 6 months of operation, we had a concern and brought up by bylaw, and we started this process early 2021, I believe. So I just wanted to get that clear. I haven't been in business 10 years. It's only been 5 years, and 5 years through the hardest time of trying to start a business as well. So.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm just going to also say that the other business that we were referencing before that was operating illegally was given the similar opportunity and told that they could bring it into compliance, but unfortunately they weren't able to do that. Councillor Drodge, did you have another comment?
Thanks, Your Worship. Just to clarify, on the one that we did, they decided not to opt to proceed. They were only in business for a short period of time. It wasn't a long duration. And I apologize if I misspoken. You've only been for 5 years, but I was going to ask the question, did you know that you were only zoned AG and that you couldn't operate a business at that time? I'm just curious.
So if I may be honest, Council, when I bought the property, we went through, well, at that time, I believe Council was closed or this building was closed. So the best knowledge that we had was the knowledge of our real estate agent, which is Michael Gleason from the Peggy Hill team here in Barrie. And when we read what we saw online, because that's all we could kind of research, a home-based business at that point was a legal use to our knowledge. And we did live on site, we did work on site, and we assumed we were able to run that. There was no clarification at that time that we could have based on the timing of all of this. And then when we had bylaw come, we started that process, and we're heck bent to continue that process and make things right. We want to run our business and do it successfully, but do it with permission of Innisfil and the people that live within the town. So our goal is to get it approved and do it through the right channels. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And just for the clerk's office, your name and address for the record.
Of course, John Rubino, and my address is 4 Walter James Parkway, Springwater, Ontario. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate your comments. Thanks for explaining.
Thank you to all who have participated in the public meeting with respect to the proposed application and for showing an interest in the matter. Can I please have a mover and a seconder to receive the comments provided this evening? Moved by Councillor Waters, seconded by Councillor Ices. All those in favor? That is carried. Council thanks everybody for their participation in that meeting. We'll now move on to our next item. Tonight's second item concerns a proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment applications for 6909 and 6918 Yonge Street in the town of Innisfil. This is going to sound very familiar because it's the same as the last application. We'll start by hearing from town staff and the consultant on behalf of the applicant regarding the application. We'll then have an opportunity for the public to make an oral submission in person or virtually. All speakers will have 5 minutes to ask their questions or express their comments, and staff will respond where possible. Should anyone need to speak again after everyone has had an opportunity to speak, to address an issue that has not already been raised, or to request clarification, they may be given an additional 5 minutes. After hearing from members of the public, Council will have the opportunity to ask any questions or provide comments. Should any member of the public watching the live stream wish to comment, they can email clerk services, and these comments will be provided to Council and town staff and taken into consideration before Council makes a final decision. You may also be added to the circulation list as interested party and will be updated on any future information regarding the item. We'll now hear from Town Clerk Jennifer Marshall about how public notice of this meeting was provided.
Thank you, Your Worship. Notice for this public meeting was provided to required agencies on March 26, 2026, and circulated to all landowners within 120 meters of the subject lands in accordance with the Planning Act. Corresponding signage was posted on the property on March 25th, 2026. Information and materials respecting the application were also posted on the town's Get Involved page.
Thank you. Has any correspondence been received by Clerk Services concerning the proposed application?
Thank you, Your Worship. 8 pieces of correspondence have been received by the Clerk's office regarding this application. From Andrea Lusk in 2 separate emails dated March 30th, 2026. From Brooklyn Lusk in an email dated March 30th, 2026. From Cameron McGlashan in an email dated March 30th, 2026. From William Lusk in an email dated March 31st, 2026. From Cheyenne Williams in an email dated March 31st, 2026. From Jared Cole in an email dated April 9th, 2026. And from Elaine Cole in correspondence dated April 13th, 2026. These pieces of correspondence can be found on tonight's agenda, and members of the public may provide comments or register their interest regarding this item during this meeting or up until Council makes a final decision by contacting the Clerk's office at clerksoffice@innisfil.ca.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now hear from Tumaj Hegshenas, Development Planner for the Town of Innisfil, and Jamie Robinson, Partner, MHBC Planning, who will provide a summary of the planning context of the application.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening again, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council, staff, and members of the public. The purpose of this public meeting is to consider a proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for lands municipally known as 6906 Yonge Street and 6918 Yonge Street, also known as Sunset Speedway. The purpose of the applications is to redevelop the existing racetrack into a self-storage facility with areas for outdoor storage. The proposed development will contain 1,243 self-storage units within 18 buildings across a land area of 10 hectares. There's also approximately 8,309 square meters of outdoor storage area proposed. The proposed development will be accessed through a single two-way driveway off Yonge Street. The proposal also includes 2 development blocks for future commercial use. So the official plan amendment proposes to redesignate developable lands outside of the woodlot and woodlot buffer area from the current agricultural area designation to a site-specific rural commercial designation. The official plan amendment also seeks to refine the limits of the key natural heritage features and key hydrological feature designations. The zoning bylaw amendment proposes to rezone portions of the subject lands outside of the woodlot and associated woodlot buffer area from the current open space exception 4 zone and agricultural general zone to a site-specific commercial business park zone. The zoning bylaw amendment also proposes to rezone the entire woodlot and associated buffer area from the current agricultural general zone to an environmental protection zone. The proposed commercial business park zone seeks to establish site-specific provisions for loading spaces and to explicitly permit a self-storage facility and outside storage with definitions included. The subject lands are located off Yonge Street between the 6th line and the 7th line. They're located outside any settlement area. The subject lands consist of 2 parcels with a total land area of approximately 45 acres and an approximate frontage of 116 meters along the west side of Yonge Street. The site currently contains a car racetrack, which will be removed. The western portion of the lands are vacant and contain a woodlot. The surrounding lands to the north, west, and south are primarily agricultural in nature. There are rural residential lots and a mechanic shop directly to the east of the subject lands. The application before us will be reviewed by staff for consistency and conformity with provincial, county, and town policies. Staff have highlighted the applicable planning policies that will be reviewed in detail in a future technical recommendation report to Council. These policies include the Provincial Planning Statement, the Lake Simcoe Protection Plan, the County of Simcoe Official Plan, the Town of Innisfil Official Plan, and the Town of Innisfil Zoning Bylaw. The town has not received formal agency comments at the time of writing of the staff report. Several public comments were received stating concerns in opposition to the proposal. In terms of next steps, staff will review and consider all received comments and report back to council with a recommendation at a future meeting. Notice will be provided to all who requested notification or submitted written correspondence. This includes all correspondence received on the town's Get Involved page. If the official plan amendment is adopted by council and approved by the County of Simcoe, and the zoning bylaw amendment is approved by council, staff are delegated to approve the site plan control application that follows. So that's the end of the staff portion of the presentation. Again, my contact information is listed on this slide, along with the QR code to access our Get Involved page for anyone who wishes to provide formal comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Tumaj. Now we'll hear from Jamie Robinson.
Thank you, Worship, members of council. Again, my name's Jamie Robinson. I'm a partner and planner with MHBC Planning. The counsel for the applicants, Mr. Geist, is with me this evening as well. I've got a brief presentation. I will try my best not to repeat anything that Tomaj has provided already. And so there's a few slides we'll just skip over. So I recognize the purpose of this evening's meeting is it's a public meeting, obviously, and it's really to hear from the public and hear any comments that they have with respect to the application. So what I intend to do is just really speak to, at a high level, some of the planning merits associated with the application and really what this proposal is from a land use planning perspective. We'll just jump ahead here. So just in terms of the location, I just wanted to point out that the subject lands, as we are all well aware, have been the site of a historic racetrack since the 60s. The current owners of the property have owned the property since 2009, and they've continued to operate the racetrack in a fashion since then. At this point in time, the applicants and the owners are considering an alternative use for the site for a number of various reasons. And what we've been tasked with undertaking is a land use planning review of their proposal to determine whether or not it fits within the land use planning context of both the provincial documents, the county official plan, as well as your township official or town official plan. I will just note from a location perspective, the lands are sort of just south of the Innisfil civic campus area. From an official plan perspective, the designation on the property is pretty unique with respect to the use that exists there today. Towards the rear of the property or the west of the site, there are some key natural heritage feature designation that exists, some lands that are associated with that. The orange area, which occupies the majority of the site, is actually an agricultural designation. And the reason I say that is somewhat unique is because we've had this long-standing use on the site since the 60s, which is sort of not consistent with what you'd expect to see in an agricultural area. So this application, although it's subject to the agricultural policy framework that exists in both the provincial planning statement that exists within the county official plan and the town official plan, it's a bit of a unique starting point per se because there's already a non-agricultural use that exists on the site. So although we're required to consider the policies of the introduction of a non-ag use into a prime ag area, I'll say the starting point's different than dealing with a fresh site or sort of virgin agricultural lands and introducing a new use. There is a non-agricultural use that exists there today. Just in terms of the proposal itself, really what we've tried to accomplish through the zoning is to provide for a storage facility on the site with an opportunity also for outdoor storage. The site plan's been designed so that the outdoor storage area on the site would be to the west, so it would be well buffered from the existing residential uses that exist along, or rural residential uses that exist along Yonge Street, as well as we've tried to provide ample opportunity on the perimeter of the site for landscaping and screening opportunities to sort of shield the proposed use from and screen the proposed use from the road and from other uses in the area. Just in terms of the two applications that are being requested, there's an official plan amendment application, which is really to change the designation on the site from an agricultural area designation to a rural commercial exception. Again, the principle behind that is that these lands have not been used for agricultural purposes for some time. And from an economic development perspective or from a future use perspective, it would not be feasible to convert these lands back to agricultural lands in the future. So that's one of the primary reasons why we believe that existing agricultural designation is not really appropriate going forward and doesn't recognize what the intended use could be for these lands in the future. We believe a rural commercial designation is more appropriate. It reflects more so the existing use as well as the potential uses for the site in the future. We've also had the full suite of studies completed in support of the application. So we've had an environmental impact study done, which has identified specific setback requirements and protection of the key natural heritage features on the property. We've also had the various engineering studies done to identify stormwater management concepts as well for the site, and the full suite of engineering studies as well. From a zoning perspective, the zoning would really implement the OP and the proposed use. What's proposed is a central commercial business park designation or zone, my apologies, as well as an environmental protection zone to reflect the features on the property. Go forward here. In terms of the uses, it's pretty limited in terms of the uses that are proposed. It would be site-specific zoning that would allow for the self-storage facility and the outdoor storage on the rear portion of the site. From a planning policy perspective, I'm not going to repeat all of these items on this slide. I've sort of provided some of the rationale already through my presentation, but it's really the redevelopment and repositioning of an existing site within a prime agricultural area that has not been used for agricultural uses in recent history. It avoids the removal of farmland from production because, again, this site hasn't been used for farming in recent years. And we've through the environmental studies, refined and protected the environmental features that exist on the site. So with that, we have provided a planning opinion in support of the application. I know staff will review the comments that are provided this evening. We'll also prepare a comment summary table ourselves that considers all the comments provided this evening, and before an application or before a staff recommendation report comes back to council. So with that, I thank council, I thank the clerk and planning staff and members of the public for their time this evening, and look forward to hearing any comments that are provided. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. We'll now hear from members of the public who have questions or comments regarding this matter. I will first call on those in attendance here at Town Hall who wish to provide comments to come forward to the podium, and please state your name and address for the record. We'll then hear from those members of the public who have registered to speak virtually. As a reminder, if I could please ask everybody to keep your initial comments to 5 minutes, and then you'll have the opportunity to return to the podium after everyone has had a chance to speak. And please, I hate cutting people off. So please, if you can keep your comments to 5 minutes, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Please come to the podium whenever you're ready.
I'm just Kenneth Brown, 12 Keats Drive, resident of the general area. Just had a question quickly for this gentleman. It's proposed in phases. What's your expectant time of completion? How many years before you actually complete all those storage facility units?
So if the questions come through the chair, and
I'm sorry,
that's fine.
Okay.
Public meetings are a bit stuffy, I know.
Yeah.
But if you could just place your comments to us, and then we'll ask the proponent to speak.
That was my question. Thank you.
Mr. Robinson, can you respond to that?
Thank you, Worship. Sorry, what was your last name? Brown. Mr. Brown, sorry. In terms of the construction timeline, it's not exactly known at this time. It's really dependent on market conditions, and so the phasing would be commensurate with demand and market conditions. Thank you.
Also, just curious what sort of long-term employment positions this would provide at the facility.
Mr. Robinson, could you estimate employment?
Through your worship, I haven't actually considered the number of potential employees. That's something we can look at and respond in our comment summary matrix that we provide. But again, it would be contingent, obviously, on the timing of the build out and overall timeline, but it's something we can take back and get an answer for you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Okay, I'm not great at public speaking, so I have a little note here. That's it for my questions. I'm just going to leave this as comment. I've already introduced myself. I'm here today to speak In support of Sunset Speedway, specifically regarding the vital role it plays in our community's youth and development and our local economy. Often when we discuss a venue like this, we focus on mechanics of operation, traffic, noise, and zoning. While those are important, I believe we are overlooking one of our town's most effective, unsanctioned, and hands-on youth training grounds. As someone who has worked in the professional trades for 25 years, especially in the area, many projects in Innisfil, I recognize the immense value of hands-on education these kids are receiving right here in our backyard. My son Nolan has been involved in the track since he was 2 years old, whether it's a tire changer, a spotter, a crew chief, and his most recent endeavor as junior announcer. And through that experience, I've seen firsthand the life skill this facility teaches. Our local youth aren't just at the track, they are learning discipline, technical, mechanical skills, public speaking, and the value of professional accountability. Whether they're working on a junior late model, managing a social media page, or some type of broadcast, these young people are applying science, technology, and engineering in a real-world, high-stakes environment. Beyond the technical skills, this facility fosters resilience and character. Motorsports teach young people how to handle both success and great failure with grace. How to work effectively within a team is very much a team-oriented sport, and how to communicate clearly and professional, all critical traits for their future careers. Furthermore, providing a structured, mentor-rich environment like this keeps our youth engaged, off the streets, and focused on personal growth while acting as a safe, legal alternative to the dangers of street racing. Finally, we must recognize Sunset Speedway as a key driver of local tourism and economic activity. Every race weekend, this facility draws in hundreds of families, drivers, and fans from across Ontario into Innisfil. These visitors don't just attend the race, they support our local economy by purchasing fuel, dining out at our restaurants, and shopping at our businesses. In an era where Innisfil is working to build a long-term tourism strategy, the Speedway stands out as a proven anchor that generates consistent visitor spending and strengthens our community's profile as a destination for families and sports enthusiasts. We are constantly looking for ways to engage our youth and prepare them for the future careers in the trades and beyond. Sunset Speedway is a living classroom and a vital economic asset. I urge the council to consider the long-term impact on our local youth and our economy before making decisions that could diminish this opportunity. Let's work together to find solutions that allow the track to remain a good neighbor while preserving a facility that is helping build the next generation of our community's leaders and skilled professionals. Thank you. That's all for myself.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Anyone else who would like to speak to this? Welcome. Could you please state your name for the record?
Your Worship, Town Council, my name is Bob Finnemore. I am a resident of the town of Innisfil. I've had a home here for 28 years. I may get a little personal here because I've also been a member of Sunset Speedway for 42 years. I'm a team owner, I'm a car owner, I'm also a driver. So I've had a lot of time around the track. I personally represent approximately 40 businesses that have supported the Speedway through our company, Mustard Seed Race Promotions. And they have come as far as North Bay and to Toronto, and they've invested money in our team and in the Speedway over the years that we've been involved. They tell me that it's a valuable asset to their business, and so that's why they do it. Also, when I ask them why they do this, they point out the fact that, as has been mentioned, our young people need a place where they can experience auto sport activity. We only have 6 asphalt tracks in Ontario. 6. And if we lose one, you know, we question ourselves. I have young people, and, you know, we read the reports and we start wondering, why are the kids racing on the street? You know, why are there things going on away from it? And then you say to yourself, okay, where are they going to go if they want to experience this? Our high schools used to have trade departments. They don't have those anymore, and I feel sorry for that, because our young people got to go somewhere where they can learn the automotive trade. Sunset Speedway meets that need. There are currently investors interested in the Speedway, to operate the Speedway. So if the question comes up, well, who's going to run it? Nobody's interested. There are people out there. I have talked to them personally. They have asked me to get information because they don't want to see the Speedway go away. We need a place for this sport to exist. Sunset Speedway is that place. For those of you who haven't been around perhaps as long as I have, I remember the days when the pits were full, when the cars were parked not in the pit area, but out on the grass at the back. They were parked on the infield of the track because there was no other place to put the cars. We could come back to that. And lastly, I'd like to challenge the town of Innisfil to be a part of this program. The Speedway is on the gateway to Innisfil. Everyone coming from Toronto, if they're coming up Highway 11, come by the track. And we can have great potential and put Innisfil back on the map, the same as other towns have when they have a Speedway. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Finnemore. Car number 1. Right? Car number 1. Whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm Candace Everingham. I live at 1983, or I live in Innisfil, 945 Innisfil Beach Road. I'm just gonna make a comment. I don't really like speaking, but I'll give it a shot. The track, running as a track in Innisfil has helped local businesses with either those attending the track that are buying local here while here. The track and the cars advertise local businesses that also help them. Not having a track will negatively impact all. The track is the only facility in Innisfil that offered a place for families to go every Saturday night. Now they will have to leave the community. I am a third generation racer. My 2 boys, who are 4 and 2, love going to the track. Now we have to travel outside of Innisfil to go and race, as my brother's racing out of town. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So, you know, having Sunset Speedway here attracts people to do stuff like Summerfest and Ribfest. Summerfest has been canceled, and Ribfest was happening at Sunset Speedway. So what's going to happen in the summertime? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Please come forward. If anybody is not comfortable making oral submission, please know you can also make written submission. There's still time if you'd like to write your comments down if you're not comfortable coming to the microphone. Please, whenever you're ready.
Thank you for your time. Lauren and Barb McCurry, we live out front of Sunset Speedway, been there 44 years. We want to know about along the fence on the property line of the people that live there. There's a gap there, like 20 feet between their fence and our fence. They plan on keeping that, and is that supposed to be for like parks? See, that place all along the back of the property, all the way out, was supposed to be classed as parkland. And another question is, how can it be classed as agricultural? How can they get the permits from you guys every year? Nobody caught that? If the land is classed as agriculture over many years, you're going back to the same thing you had with this other gentleman. It should have been caught by somebody. That's what we put you guys in for. How did they get the permit every year? I got nothing against the racers. You must understand that, okay? I got nothing against the guys for racing. But we've had a lot of problems. The noise back there getting worse and worse. And we had a gentleman on there before it was on their council. He used to come to the front and talk to us anytime they did any changes. They don't do that anymore. He was talking about changing the mufflers to quiet it down for us, but he's not there anymore. And they just keep getting louder. So we want to know what's like actually going on. Why are you guys going to change everything when it's supposed to be agricultural?
And then if last year, before the snow melted, there were dump trucks dumping back there
For a month.
all day long.
All day long, dumping
all
dirt in the
week.
back ravine.
Did you guys even know about that then?
Did they have a permit to dump back there?
And how is that going to affect our well water? And are they going to be doing any ground testing? Because Shakles used to have a junkyard.
Wrecking yard in the back corner.
In the back corner there.
In the northeast, it'd be a northwest corner.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your ad. Did you get the name and address for the clerk's office?
6958 Young Street. Been there 44 years.
Thank you for that. So this is a planning public meeting, so your questions about the permitting and so on, I'm not sure we can answer that
No,
tonight.
but I'm
but
just bringing it up. You're considering to change everything. This is why I'm bringing it up. Stay
Right.
Agricultural should stay agricultural.
Absolutely. So we'll make sure that those answers or those questions get answered in the staff report, unless you have something to add about the parkland that we're talking about in behind. I'm not sure what part of the
Yeah,
site
there's like
that
20
is.
feet from the back of the properties out, and it's supposed to go straight through behind the garage that's there. It's marked on there,
It was in one of the original plans.
which I haven't found yet, but I will find it, the original plan that's there. Because I know my neighbor had it, and he passed on, and I didn't get the copy off of him, but he had the original plan. There's supposed to be parkland where you can come in and just enjoy yourself, just like on Innisfil Beach.
I think it's good. I think it's still going to be EP land, but maybe
But you want to
Mr.
change that, Tim.
Mr. Robinson, can you speak to that?
Go ahead.
Okay, so it would have been this part here and down here.
Right, we live right here. So this here is supposed to be all the way through class as parkland. Okay. And you guys want to change that, you can't change it.
And then
And I
just
think it
wanna
goes to
know-
here, but I haven't found the original plans yet,
And
but
then-
I will find them.
And then right now, there's like that,
They have their fence,
the pit fences here, our fences here. Are they
15 or
changing
20
that?
feet. Are you guys planning on changing that, getting rid of that fence?
I can maybe just, so through you, your worship, so there was just a question about, I believe, there's a strip along the rear of their property or the western side. What would be proposed as part of the redevelopment of the site and through the site plan that I mentioned in my presentation was that we'd have a buffer area or a landscaped area adjacent to the backyards of those existing residential properties and actually surrounding the site to provide an area for future additional vegetation or new vegetation to be planted to provide screening, but also potentially some berming to be completed to help buffer the land use from the existing residences. So that's what the Greens propose. And they mentioned there's another area on the site, which I'd have to look into. I'm not familiar with the background associated.
Okay, but as long as we've got that information and we can make sure that's addressed in the staff report.
Feet you're coming from the back of the property for the buffer zone? How wide this would be?
So if you maybe want to have a conversation, but if you have more comments, please
I
make
have
them.
one more.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, if the plans is amended, the zone's amended, and they don't build, how does that affect future businesses being there?
Can you would it be changed to, like, you put a subdivision in?
Mr. Carrera? Sorry, I should have asked too much. So the question is that if this OP amendment and zoning bylaw amendment goes through for this specific use, can it be switched to a subdivision?
Through you, your worship, a subdivision wouldn't be permitted. They would have to go through another application to change the designation. And just in reference to the question regarding it's agricultural and why was it allowed to be used as a speedway, the current zoning has an exception which specifically allows the racetrack, and that's been operating for a long time now. So the zoning trumps the official plan designation.
So that's the official plan. Now they want to change it again. It should go back to the agricultural.
So through your worship, the application is, we're taking in the application to change it into rural commercial designation. We don't decide what to put in. The landowner came in with that application. So it's not up to us to change it.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Other comments on the application? Sure, go ahead, Mr. Robinson.
Sorry, thank you. I'll be brief. I just wanted to confirm, they had asked the width of the buffer to be provided adjacent. It's intended to be 15 meters is what we're showing in the application sketch. I also wanted to introduce Marvin Geist, who's also here on behalf of the applicant.
Can we have the other gentleman speak, please? Thank you. And then Mr. Geist, you're more than welcome to speak.
Good evening, people. My name is Bill Kissick. I've been involved in late model racing since the early 20s at Pinecrest and kept on at it. And I've traveled to many tracks that are around Ontario. One of the competitors out of Flamborough Speedway commented to me at the car show this year that it is a shame to see Sunset go down after so many years that Steve Slaughter and Mr. Dilly put this track together. I walked it many times. It's a shame that if it's closed, it's going to be costly for a lot of people who are in junior late models, bone stock cars, when they got to start going to Peterborough or to Flamborough or go up to the beach. It's a costly factor, and a lot of these people can't afford to be traveling like that. And it's very ridiculous. It's, you know, when you have your summer fest there at the Rib Fest, that brings more and more people in. And it's a good thing, and I've been around it. I've seen how this past few years, how drivers have been treated. And they've been told, well, if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. Well, all of a sudden, you look on a schedule, oh, Saturday night, 50-lap feature for late models. We used to have 20 to 30 cars at one time. Now, we're down to 6. And it's a shame to see the track go. It's good for local people, and I know there's people from Windsor, all over Ontario, and you get the odd American slipping in to race here. And it's a shame to see it go. I know you were there last year, and you enjoyed it, had a good time. But it's, as people have said, it brings people into our community, and, you know, people prosper. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kissick. Are there other comments or questions? Please come forward. Mr. Geist, did you want to wait until everybody's done, or did you want to go now?
I can go now.
Okay, and then we'll have the people coming around for a second time.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. As you know, I've been around for a long time. And I was here many, many years ago, before you were on council, acting for the racetrack, when the purchaser bought it. And there were people all around against the racetrack because of the noise. And my client, who is a NASCAR driver, loved this place, all right? He thought from his heart with others to buy it. And he improved it. They improved it. They extended the track. They improved the stands. But over the years, costs get higher. The investment isn't what it used to be. This is a business that relies on the weather. It's not in a dome stadium. It's not open all year round. The timing is short. It's limited. And there's a time where my client said, I can't think from my heart anymore. I have to think with my brain. It doesn't make economic sense to continue with the track. And he loves this. He loves the track, but he knows the time has come. And if you recall, in the Mayor May, I stood up here a number of years ago when Lake Simcoe Golf Course was being rezoned. And I stood here, and there were about 150 members behind me saying, what are you doing with our golf course? I found out I had 150 fellow owners with me that night, but it didn't make sense. All right, we've tried to bring in money. That's why we had the Rib Fest. We've tried to do other matters to extend the economic sense to this track. But, you know, as I said, Lake Simcoe went under, unfortunately. I was an owner, okay? All of you know how much I love golf. So for me to cut up a golf course, that broke my heart. The same thing here. We have a racetrack that doesn't make money because of the economy, because of the weather. We've spent money, we've invested it in, we lose money. Well, you can't lose money all the time. There's a time and a place. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. So I thank you for listening to us. I thank our drivers and the people behind us. They spoke well in support, not like the other days when I had people behind me saying, close it down, okay, because of the noise and the nuisance. It's a shame, okay? But the time has come, the walrus said. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Geist. Other speakers? Any other speakers for the first time before we go to round two? Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
I just want to thank him for his perspective from an owner perspective and economically how it's not making sense. I tend to disagree a little bit with them. Sunset Speedway, I just want to reiterate what everyone else has said, is a premier facility. It attracts a lot of great local talent and talent from afar too. I feel like traveling series and a really well-promoted track and not just seen as a racetrack could really help Innisfil with tourism, the economy, everything. I'm just going to leave it at that, but thank you for everyone's time, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from those members of the public who have registered to speak virtually tonight. Any person wishing to make an oral submission virtually must have registered with the town by 3:30 p.m. and been added to the speakers list. The speaker order is now on the screen. So when it's your turn, I'll please ask you to please state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes like everyone else has had. And if you could please turn on your video and audio, and then when you're done, turn off your video and audio. So I'll now ask for Jordan Temperman, please. Is Jordan Temperman online? All right, so we'll go to Christian Rinomato. He's not online. Is Jeff Oakes online? Mr. Oakes, please, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. Okay, good evening, Your Worship and members of council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jeff Oakes. My address is 181 Swanwick Avenue in Toronto, and I'm a race car driver at Sunset Speedway. I'm here tonight to share concerns regarding the proposal to replace Sunset with a large storage facility. So first, from a more planning perspective, I think it's important to note that there is an existing storage facility, Innisfil self-storage, located approximately 2.3 kilometers away from the facility. So I think it raises reasonable questions about need and duplication of use. In addition, and I may have got this wrong, under the current Innisfil commercial business zoning bylaw, storage facilities are only permitted up to a certain size. If I read it correctly, I believe that it's not only changing the zoning bylaw, but then also amending the commercial zoning bylaw to allow for the large storage facility that is being proposed. So maybe when I'm done speaking, someone from the town's planning team can speak to that and just confirm if I was reading that correctly online. But if that is the case, I do believe that that sets an important precedent here about not only just changing the zoning bylaws, but also changing what's permitted within those zoning bylaws. So secondly, and I'd say more importantly, from a community and regional perspective, Sunset is the only racetrack of its kind in the area, which you heard from other speakers tonight. The closest comparable tracks are Peterborough, Sauble Beach, and Hamilton, all within about a 2-hour drive. So in essence, you're the only game in town, and making this zoning bylaw change will ruin the opportunity to make Sunset and Innisfil have this unique regional destination for both local people and tourism. So to my next point here, the uniqueness of this represents a major and affordable tourism opportunity in Innisfil, as we're seeing rising costs for a number of activities in and around the province. This is a rare opportunity that's affordable for families. A family of 4 can go out for a reasonable cost. This does attract racers, spectators, families, and visitors who support local businesses. And maybe it is seasonal, as mentioned by the individual, but by people coming to Innisfil having positive experiences may attract year-round visitors. I said both locally and within the large catchment area of people like myself traveling from Toronto weekly. To be frank, I started racing 4 or 5 years ago and wasn't really making trips to Innisfil. Now I'm there every week, and it's something that my family and I often visit year round in the wintertime with the winter activities that are in the downtown area. So this is an economic and cultural value that should not be overlooked when reviewing this application. At a time when people are spending more of their lives online and indoors, Sunset Speedway offers something increasingly rare, which is a shared outdoor and multi-generational experience. This track has been part of Innisfil for decades, which you heard tonight. It's created lifelong friendships, family traditions, community events, and strong social connections that simply cannot be replaced once this track is gone. For me, my family in particular, we're kind of scattered. We're in Toronto, Woodbridge, Aurelia area, and we all meet in Innisfil to go to the track. So for these reasons, I don't believe the right question is whether we should be amending the zoning bylaw to allow for this large storage facility. But instead, we should be asking, how do we improve access to the track? How can we better promote events and tourism at the track in consolidation with Innisfil? And how can we strengthen Sunset Speedway as a long-term community and economic asset? So I would kindly ask the council to look at the offerings Innisfil provides its residents and consider this. Do we want to offer an event space, an affordable event space that brings people together and adds excitement to the community? Or do you want more storage facilities? So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Oakes. I'm going to ask Tumaj if he can answer the question asked earlier in the delegation about the size of the storage facility?
Through your worship, the size restriction only applies to a specific zone, so it's an AG 34 exception zone, so it's not applicable here. It's just a very specific zoning exception.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Oakes. So I'm going to check again to see if Jordan Tepperman is online. Okay, so thank you, and we'll now go to council for questions or comments. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. We're hearing different perspectives here tonight, and as a council person who sits on council, we talk about our youth engagement with the growing town, and I can see how Mr. Brown's point towards that is rather effective. As a tradesman, I can see how hands-on skills for something that grows in our community, a sector of the community that needs, it's growing in need as our community expands. I understand the economic development that occurs when we draw people from all over Ontario into Innisfil, and I think it's fabulous. They're very valid points. I like this idea, what you're proposing. Mr. Fenmore said specifically that he knows of companies that are looking to take over the track. The question I have is this been conversation, or has there been actual formulated plans that come up and say, here's a viable, a viable option, as opposed to the storage containers? Here's a functioning, monetary plan that will generate income, or will it make money, or will it break even? If we're looking to save the track, we need to find something that is palatable to everybody involved, that maintains the ability to have our youth, that maintains our ability to grow with the commercial industries, that makes it worthwhile for the owners of the property to generate income so that they can continue to do so. Has this all been talk around a table, or has a viable model been brought forth? Is anybody, because to do that, we need to understand what everyone wants to bring to the table before we make a decision.
Mr. Geest, are you wanting to speak to that or not?
No one has approached us with respect to any business plan or alternative. As I've said, the track does not make money, all right? We would like to think that storage is needed in Innisfil. There are others in Innisfil. No one should have a monopoly on any business, but with density and housing in Innisfil, with small driveways, no driveways, apartment buildings coming, people will need storage for all kinds of items. So there is a need. And again, yes, it is a shame it's going, but we can't afford to maintain it.
Thank you, Mr. Geest. Deputy?
Thank you, Mr. Geest. I appreciate that very much. Okay, so a question then, hypothetically, to keep all options open as this moves forward, if hypothetically someone came with a viable model, I know you're stating that it has lost money. The family that retired, they ran it for a good number of years, but it's been sitting there for a year now. So if someone came and said, we can maintain, save you time, save you energy, have a working model that will generate income, would that be an option, or is the owners of the property just set on this altogether? I'm just trying to make sure that we're not closing any doors inadvertently.
I don't know if that's a fair question, but if you want to try to answer, please do.
I have my client here. Okay, that's number one. So I really can't answer that. But I would say to my client, okay, you're losing money, all right? What value is there in a new business? What kind of money are you generating, or what's your business plan for your new business? All right? And if the business plan says that you're going to generate $1 million a year, well then, that's what we would be losing unless someone else could come up to us and say, you know what, we'll rent it to you for $1 million a year. I don't care where I get my money from as long as it's legal, okay? So if the business plan with regard to our proposal is $1 million a year and someone else comes to us and say, we'll rent the track for $1 million a year, I don't know why my client wouldn't take that, but that's a business decision. I don't give business decisions on behalf of a client. That I only tell them legal decisions, not business decisions.
Other questions or comments of council? Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. Being a strong environmentalist, Mr. Geese knows my background. Most people would come out and tell me that I'm going to say that, you know, let it die because it uses fossil fuels and all the rest of it. But I'm not. I think there is value in the community benefit to the racetrack. I think Mr. Brown spoke very well to the skill sets it brings to youth. I was really impressed with that. I think it brings money into the community. And 30 years ago, I got used to the noise living over by the beach. It's like the train tracks in the distance. You know you live in Innisfil when you hear the race cars going. So I think just from community benefits, it's worthwhile. So it would be nice to say, it would be nice to see whether or not there was a business proposal that would change the owner's mind. But I just wanted to make that comment that, you know, that I think from a community benefit, I think it's a valued asset to the town of Innisfil, and it's been here for years. My question to our planners is, so if negotiations go on between a potential business partner and the owners, and they make that $1 million a year, does the new zoning no longer allow for the racetrack to exist, or can it still exist in that new zoning regime? I am pleased to see that that there's going to be EP lands and that's going to be fortified, but in terms of that front piece of property, does the new zoning no longer allow for that to happen? Thank you.
Sorry, go. Can we mute whoever's speaking online, virtually? Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Correa.
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Waters. So I believe the way the initial bylaw was drafted, it doesn't continue that use. However, it would still be able to legally exist as legal non-conforming. Or they could potentially request that the existing use be included in the final bylaw, should there be those types of negotiations or discussions held. But ultimately, the proposal before us would be to permit the self-storage use, and that would be what council would consider when it comes forward.
Thank you very much.
Other questions or comments? Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate my fellow councillors' questions around, you know, could this continue in some certain way if the owner decides to sell it or whatnot. But that's not really the questions that we're being asked. We're being asked is if this proposal makes good planning sense, and that's what our staff is trying to give us the answer on. I wanted to focus maybe on the last speaker, Mr. Oakes, some of his comments on the economic impact that the track has had, and to get a sense for if council decides to change the zoning on this, what do we know? Does staff know? Does economic development know what that impact could be, or as an estimate, to perhaps help in the decision on what's best for the community, keeping it the way it is or changing it to what's proposed?
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Ices. So certainly have circulated the application to our economic development department, so we could report further on that through the technical report. I wouldn't have a specific data or numbers tonight.
Other questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Drudge?
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm not even sure if this is a fair question, but does the current owner plan on continuing to operate this racetrack moving forward with the zoning or not the zoning? Like, is he planning to try to operate it still?
The time has come, all right? It is not affordable. Mr. Oakes said on 4 separate occasions, it's an activity affordable for his family and others in the community. He said the word affordable 4 times. This is not affordable for my client. The track will be closed, unfortunately. Okay? It just doesn't make sense anymore.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, now I wanted to thank you all who participated in the public meeting with respect to the proposed application and for showing interest in the matter. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please, to receive the comments provided this evening? Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Zanella. All those in favor? That is carried. Council wishes to thank everyone for their participation, and I want to tell you that there will be a report coming forward, and if you've spoken tonight, is there a form to fill out at the desk? So if you fill out that form, if you're interested when this is going to be coming back for council debate, you can fill out that form and you'll be advised when it's coming back for final decision of council. And I want to thank you all very much for coming and ask, please, if I could have a mover and a seconder for the confirming bylaw and adjournment. Councillor Drudge and Councillor Richardson, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone who participated in person and online.